Whether you're a beginner or an advanced guitar player, chromatic exercises are the ticket to becoming a better shredder. And on today's video, we're going to talk about the 5 variations that you should be tossing into your practice routine. Hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. One of the biggest favors I ever did for myself as a young Shred-Eye Knight was to make chromatic exercises a regular part of my daily playing diet. But let's be completely honest here, they're not exactly the most musically usable things in the world. You're not exactly gonna toss one of your favorite chromatic exercises into your, soloing or anything, are you? I mean, are you? Who would do that? But the way they help you build up your coordination, finger stamina, and timing cannot be overstated. And it's with that in mind that today I'm going to show you guys my 5 favorite chromatic exercises that you should make a part of your daily routine. As always, downloadable tabs, charts, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more are available to everybody who supports my channel over on patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Studies have shown that it's actually the coolest fucking place on the internet, and this week everybody that supports my channel, even at just a $1 a month level, is gonna get an extra bonus lesson to go along with this one. In this bonus video, I'm gonna show you guys some variations you can do on each of these exercises to get a little bit more out of them and become a more well-rounded player. I'll also be dropping a boatload of bonus tips on you guys on how to use your metronome and practice along with these exercises for maximum rhythmical impact. So head on over to patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars today and start reaping the benefits. Thank you for being a friend. You're a pal and a confidant. Gear-wise today, I'm using my G&L Legacy Strat here, also known as the best $100 I ever spent and subsequently set on fire. It's loaded with bare-knuckle veneer board pickups, and I'm playing this through the Fractal Audio Axe FX 3. I'm also getting a little extra heat under the seat from this little gold boy right here, the Wampler Tumnus Mini. This thing is freaking awesome. And you can get yourself a hot deal on one of these boys right here, as well as countless other things that are nice during Guitar Month at Sweetwater. So be sure to click the Sweetwater link in the video description below and check out all the hot deals going on for the month of September. Numero uno, the classic. It's one of the first things that I ever learned how to do on the guitar, and it got me using all 4 of my fingers, alternate picking, playing in all areas of the board on all the strings and everything right away. The concept here could not be more simple. We're playing here with 1 finger per fret, 4 notes on each string. So I'm going to use my first finger to play the 1st fret on the low E, my 2nd finger to play the 2nd fret, 3rd finger 3rd fret, 4th finger 4th fret. Notice that as I go through that I'm alternate picking using a downstroke, then an up for the 2nd, a down for the 3rd, and an up for the 4th. After you get those 4 notes done, simply copy and paste onto every other string on the guitar. After you reach the highest note in any position, what you're going to do here is to use that 4th finger and shift up 1 fret, okay? So I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, then shift up a fret to 5. Now at this point I'm going to start descending down my fingers here. So I'm going to go finger-wise, 4, 3, 2, 1 on every string. Fret-wise I'm now playing 5, 4, 3, 2, but you follow. Go down every string that way. Then when you reach the bottom note right here, what you're going to do is to use that same finger that you just used and scoot up another fret, so now you're in the 3rd position. Shift up on the little. Shift up on the 1st, and so on. Try to make every note sound nice and long and smooth. It's also really important to practice this exercise walking up the neck like I showed you a second ago, because as you get up here to the higher frets, of course, everything gets closer and closer together. Feels a lot different playing up high on a guitar than it does down low. As a young shred-eye knight, I practiced this exercise as straight 16th notes, and one of the virtues that this modest exercise bestowed onto me was the ability to chunk information and only worry about the note that's falling on the downbeat. Here's what I mean. 16th notes means that we're playing 4 notes per beat. So if I have my metronome here set to 60 BPM, we're going to be cramming 4 notes in between every click of the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. What I noticed is that I could practice this exercise along with that metronome, and since the note grouping over here is 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, that meant that as long as this finger, my first finger here, was landing on the next string right when the metronome beeped, I would be on rhythm. So in other words, whenever I'm practicing this with a click, I'm not really consciously worrying about all 4 notes that are going by. I'm really just hearing the metronome beep those quarter notes out and thinking to myself, that finger needs to be arriving on that next string right when this thing beeps. Opposite if you're going down, little fingers on the beat. As you practice this exercise, I want you to be really careful to not f things up like I did. Here's a cold hard fact for you. The hardest part about alternate picking is changing strings, okay? And whenever you practice this exercise, you're always going to be changing strings after upstrokes. Down, up, new string, down, up, new string, and so on. I practiced it that way and that way only, and guess what? I got really f***ing good at changing strings after upstrokes, but whenever I needed to do a fast string change that happens after a downstroke, I was hosed. So kids, don't do like I did. Be sure to also practice this exercise and all these other exercises, now that I think about it, beginning with an upstroke as well, because then you'll be changing strings on a downstroke like this. Up, down, new string. Up, down, down. This is also a great exercise to use to strengthen your hammer-ons and pull-offs, your legato playing. To do this, all you got to do is to strike the first note with the pick and let your hammer-ons carry you on the way up, just like that. And then on the way down, strike the highest note and let your pull-offs do the work for you. You got to be keeping that pull-off game strong, fellas. And ladies. Variation number 2, triplet surprise. For this chromatic variation, we're going to ditch the little finger, aka God's cruel joke on guitar players. This is also going to help you out with some different mechanics like changing strings after downstrokes and upstrokes, as well as introduce you to practicing with a triplet feel. This is a really easy concept to understand. Take everything that you just did in the original chromatic exercise and leave the little finger out of it. That way on every string, we're using fingers 1, 2, 3 on the way up. Off of that last third finger note, you're going to shift up a fret and walk down 3, 2, 1 on every string. Off of that last first finger note, shift up a fret, and so on. So one of the best things about practicing this exercise is the benefits that you'll get out of the right hand, because if you're alternate picking this, you're going to experience a little bit of flip-flopping of the picking on every string. So for example, if you play the first string starting with a downstroke, you're going to have down, up, down. So I'm going to be changing strings this time off of a downstroke. Down, up, down. Then when we go to the next string, the picking is going to be inverted as long as we maintain that alternate picking thing. So it's going to be up, up, string change. Down, change. Up, change. It's like that the entire way through. Whenever we practice a 4-note chromatic sequence like we did initially, you're always going to be ending on the same kind of pick stroke, then going to the next string. And that's not always how music is played. So practicing things like this, where you got to change after downs sometimes and ups other times, is really going to help your picking hand become a lot more flexibler. And if you want to really just absolutely hate your life, try this variation on it right here. Walk up with 1, 2, 3. Now check this out. Instead of shifting up off that finger, walk down with 4, 3, 2. So 1, 2, 3 up, 4, 3, 2 down. You'll find this really awkward because we're all so first finger dominant, you know, that taking that thing out of the equation and just making these guys do the work here is surprisingly hard. Really early on in my guitar playing days, I accidentally cut a huge flap of skin off of my first finger, so I couldn't use it for like weeks, but I was dying to play guitar. So I just kind of got used to playing without it like that, with my first finger kind of held out. That way I wouldn't get, blood all over my fretboard or anything. Pretty gruesome way to learn, and thankfully for you guys, it doesn't have to be that hard. Now, as I play these 3-note groupings, I'm going to practice these as a triplet feel. That means if I've got my metronome going right here, I'm going to be cramming 3 notes into every single beat of the metronome. Triplet, 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 triplet. So again, to use that chunking idea I was talking about earlier, I'm not feeling all 3 of those notes. I really only feel the first finger connecting on the downbeat right on top of the beat whenever I play this exercise. You might have noticed as I played through that I was really emphasizing the note that lands on the beat with a louder, heavier pick stroke. That's something I really recommend doing regardless of what exercise or scale or whatever it is that you're practicing. Always pick the note that lands on the beat harder than the rest. This is particularly challenging with this triplet-based exercise because that means that the first time through you're going to be accenting on a downstroke, and the next time you're going to be accenting on an upstroke. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Moving on to variation number 3, they call it Flipper. Also known as the best riff that King Crimson never wrote. True story, this exercise was voted most likely to be a sumbitch by Chromatic Exercise magazine in 1995. So you'll remember from earlier in the video, I told you guys that the string changes were the hardest part of alternate picking, and this exercise is nothing but string changes. And when it comes to alternate pick and string changes, they're like belly buttons. They're disgusting. And they also come in 2 varieties, innies and outies. Let's say my 2 hand fingers here were strings, right? If I did an upstroke off of this string to a downstroke on the next string, that's what I would refer to as an inside string change, because my pick feels like it's very much inside of the strings. The variation on that would be a down on this string going to an up on this string. Either way, we're on the inside path of the strings. In this motion, je déteste. Ugh. Now the opposite of that is outside string changes, like if I did a downstroke on this string, then an upstroke on the other one, or an upstroke to here to a downstroke to here. You'll notice that as I do that, I'm on the outside perimeters of the strings. The great thing about this exercise is the way that it's set up. It has you do both back to back, and it's really hard. Okay, at its core, this is still a 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise. The key difference being that I'm putting every other note on the next adjacent string. So I'll put the 1 on the low E, the 2 on the A, the 3 on the low E, and the 4 on the A. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, if I'm alternate picking that, that's going to be all outside string changes. Down to up, from down to up. Next, what you're going to do is to invert that entire pattern. Put the 1 on the A string, the 2 on the low E, the 3 on the A, then the 4 on the low E. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just kind of an inside-out version of what you played a second ago. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, that last set of changes right there, down, up, those are the dreaded inside string changes that are like the bane of my existence. So this is a really great exercise to practice if you're a player like me that tends to prefer one type of string change and just totally hate the other one and try to avoid it as much as humanly possible in their life, even though it haunts them for years and they can't ever really seem to shake it and get rid of it. It's like some kind of unending nightmare of picking skills that just never seems to resolve itself. If you're like that, this is a great one to practice. And as I play through this, I'm thinking of each repetition taking place on a pair of strings. So first I'm going to play on the E and A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm on the next pair of strings, A to D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. D and G. G to B. And then B to E. After this, continue the madness on pairs of strings walking down. And again, every other note goes on the next string. So we're going to play the 4 on the high E, the 3 on the B, the 2 on the high E, and the 1 on the B. Next, turn all that stuff inside out. Put the 4 on the B, the 3 on the E, 2 on the B, and the 1 on the E. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. I had a really hard time getting this one down because of the angular sound of it and all the string changes and all that going on. But I just really had to take the time and remember that at the end of the day, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the way up, 4, 3, 2, 1 on the way down. It's really beneficial to even think that to yourself as you play along and go 1, 2, 3, 4, or even say 1, 2, 3, 4 out loud like I am right now. You can also get some really interesting international variations on this if you say it out loud in German. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could try it in Spanish for a Latin flair. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can try counting this out in French for an additional heavy dose of ennui. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But why? What is the meaning of this? There is no meaning to this existence. Moving on to variation number 4, the Tomo. So this is the newest chromatic variation that I've added to my practice, and I'm pretty much obsessed with it right now. I love the way that it features ascending and descending at the same time on every string, the randomness of the finger combinations. There's just a lot of great stuff going on right here. So the other day, while tending to my morning constitutionals, I was scrolling through YouTube trying to find some great new guitar videos to watch, and I stumbled across one by Tomo Fujita on his channel, which you can find over at Tomo Fujita Music. Let me just scroll through my YouTube history here so you guys can find this video and check it out for yourselves. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. The video is called Do This Routine Every Morning to Get Shredded. 5 Great Guitar Techniques. In Tomo's original video, he was practicing this exercise going across a single string, but I took that idea and modified it so that way it goes up and down across all 6. So I didn't just out and out steal it, I modified it. Thanks, Tomo. Okay, if I sit here and rattle off these fret numbers, it's not gonna make any sense at all, and honestly, even on the tabs and stuff for this, it looks like a mess. The best way to get this down is to get the concept down first. Now, as a lot of you guys already know, I am a recovering homeschooler, but a lot of my public school friends told me about an exercise that they would have to do in PE. The idea of the exercise is that you start off on one end of the gymnasium, run to a certain line, run back to the start, run to the second line, all the way back, third line and all the way back, and so forth. We're kind of doing that, but with our hand fingers. So the process is walk up and retreat. At first, we're going to start off here on the 1st fret, walk into the 2nd fret. Then we're going to walk back, which isn't far, because we just have to go back here to fret number 1. Next, what you're going to do is to walk up to your 3rd finger. 1, 2, 3, and walk back. Next, what we're going to do is to walk up to our 4th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4, and walk back. Again, you're always up and then back. So 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, and then you're going to walk it up again, because this is where you're walking towards the next string, okay? Walk to 2, to 3, walk to 4, then you're going to go back up again to get to the next string. Walk to 2, walk to 3, walk to 4, walk it all the way up. Now we're on the D string. Now after you play that last 4th fret note, what you're going to do is to shift up a fret and start descending down this exercise. It's the same idea as the original exercise, we're just on this end of the chord instead. So we're going to walk down and back, walk down and back, walk down more further and back, and then walk onto the next string. So you're going to walk down to your 3rd finger, down to your 2nd, down to your 1st, and then all the way down again. 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and walking down. And again, after the last note, shift up a fret and start over. One of my favorite things about this exercise is that you'll spend an entire 4-beat measure on every string. I've got the metronome here set to accent beat number 1 in every 4-beat group. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, and so on. As you spend one measure per string while you play that, I want you to really concentrate on accenting the downstrokes that fall on the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll notice sometimes they're under this finger, sometimes they're under this finger. It's kind of all over the map. You need to build up the ability to accent not only on whatever pick stroke you're on, whether it's a down or an up, but also on whatever finger you're on. Another great thing about this exercise is since you're on every string for so long, you can use this as a great opportunity to even out and tighten up your pick strokes. Joe Patrumi, Ying Yang Mouse Meat, Francis Bubble Trousers, all the hottest shredders have some teeny tiny pick strokes. My good buddy from over in the UK, the incredible Rick Graham, has some great stuff about tightening up your pick strokes and stuff over on his channel, so be sure to go check that out. And the same goes for Tomo. Be sure to go over to his channel and subscribe. He's got so many killer lessons on there, and be sure to tell him Uncle Ben sent you. And lastly, we're going to round this out with number 5, one from my personal toy chest. Yes, indeed, it is the Punisher exercise that almost 1 million of you now have watched over on This Is Why You Suck at Guitar episode 17. It's really challenging to play, but the good news is it sounds like shit too. Your stepmom is gonna love it. This one also has its core in the good old-fashioned 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, but it adds a metric ton of difficulty due to the constant string changes, inside-outside picking variations, and all that good stuff. Just like the third exercise that we talked about there, the flipper, I think about this exercise as taking place on a pair of strings. We're going to start off here on the E and A. And what we're going to do first is to put 4 notes on the E. Next, what we're going to do is to drop our first finger down onto the next string and make all the other fingers remain down on the low E. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice 2, 3, 4, we're still on the low E. I just dropped the first finger down to the A. So now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. After this, another finger abandoned ship. We're going to play 1, 2 on the A, 3, 4 down there on the low E string. After this, you're going to join in with your ring finger here on the A, 1, 2, 3, and only your 4th finger remains on the low E. And then lastly, after that, you're going to play all 4 notes on the A, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we end up playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. After this, start the exercise off from the next string pair, A and D. So we're going to do this by walking up that A again. Dump a note onto the D. Sounded weird. Put 2 on the D. That sounds not weird. Put 3 on the D. It's getting crowded. And then lastly end up with all 4 right there on the D. D and G. G and B. And B and E. When you're walking this exercise down the strings, play by all the same rules. You're just going to be consecutively dumping notes onto the next lower string like this. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Next you're on to B and G string pair. G to D. E to A, A to E. Again, it's got a little bit of everything in there for the picking hand. You're going to have times where you're changing off of upstrokes. Then you're going to have an inside change right here, down to up. An upstroke change, a downstroke change, and so on. So it's really lethal for working all those ins and outs of your pick and paw. And that's another exercise that I can't take full credit for because I stole that from my good buddy and former bandmate, Junkyard Joe. So there you go, guys, the 5 chromatic exercises that you need to improve your life and become a more better shredder. Honestly, I wouldn't spend more than like 5 minutes each on those exercises. There's been like numerous studies that have shown that your brain gets the most of its learning done in the first 5 minutes, and everything after that never really, gains a permanent place like in your muscle memory and stuff. So you could set a timer and do each of those exercises for like 5 minutes every day, and that would be a really killer 25-minute workout. But I'll also advise you guys not to like completely obsess over these things and make it your life's work to become the world's greatest chromaticizer or anything like that. Don't become the guitar equivalent of a gym rat that just works out all the time. Use these things as a great warm-up. Use these things to work on any elements of your fretting or picking that you feel rusty on. And as soon as you feel like you've gotten some good work done on whatever it is that you're trying to improve on, set it aside and play some f***ing music. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for new content coming at you every single week. Ring that bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. If you want to get the tabs, charts, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and access to a community of extremely cool people, be sure to support my channel over on patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Don't forget, this week you also get a bonus lesson showing you how to get even more out of these exercises. Thanks as always for watching. You guys have been fantastic. I've been Uncle Ben, and now it's time to go practice. Less clicking, more picking. Jesus fucking Christ, car.